Now no intro. Alpha figure here or the thing go. Wine for me not like a gypsy. Low. This your anthem. Fini fluffy girl them. Two of them wine and bubble make me love them. Big up all of the manga girl them. And the fluffy girl them when me say I feel girl for 1060. Mampi. This a feel the fluffy girl them. Say now I'm so much on the feeling. Mampi. Hey, Ghana, London. This a fi me fluffy girl them fi wine pan. Jamaica, America.
To Karen Bose, and I can't wait to hear, what she has to say, the stories that she has to share with us this morning. She's VP. Karen Bose, VP. I think that means Vice President. Yeah. Oh, it means very important, Vice President. And she's going to be talking about HR and sustainability, and she's also from Capital One Bank. We heard what Rob had to say yesterday, so I'm very interested to hear what Karen has to say this morning. So I think, are we ready to start? Yeah, so without further ado, are you ready, Karen? Do you have all your slides and everything you want to show set up? Fantastic. So let's give Karen a round of applause.
So let me say hello while the slides are coming up. Thank you. So I'm Karen. As said, I've been at Capital One now for about 13 years. Bit of history on me. I am now currently an HR director. In my past, I was a lawyer. That's what I studied at university quite some time ago now. And then joined Capital One about 13 years ago as our employment lawyer. And we were then going through quite a period of growth and quite a period of change. And what was interesting about that time is, which I just wanted to share with you, is when you're young, you make choices about what you want to do, what you want to study. What grabbed me at that time was the law, was the relationship between the employee and the employer. And as we heard yesterday, there's so much in that history which is around command, control, and structure, lots of regulation, and that's what I learned, that's what I did. When I got to Capital One, what was interesting about that was suddenly I was thrown into a work environment where when I would advise on the law and talk about the sorts of things that should happen with an employee, those employees were actually my friends, my colleagues, sitting next to me in the business. So it gives you a real sense of the impact that you can have in any business and the impact on people. So I was very much embedded in the HR function, and about 6 years into my journey I had a choice to make, which was to go and pursue my career as a lawyer out in private practice, sort of perhaps sitting in my ivory tower and giving advice and opinion on various things, or staying in business and actually doing what I love, and that's what I do now. And what I love is about creating environments where people can be absolutely brilliant at what they do. And so the topic today, the whole day, is about creating high-performing teams. I think you're going to get a bunch of insight. But what I do at Capital One is not HR. I don't do law. I don't do business. What I do is create an environment where people can just be brilliant. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. I'm going to take you through some of the journey that we've done. There's a little quote on the board there from Alice in Wonderland. I don't know how much of you know about Alice in Wonderland. It's a great story from my childhood, something I love. And we heard a bit about this with Eddie yesterday. There's this great scene. She's in Wonderland. She gets to a crossroads. There's a strange Cheshire cat in the tree. And she says, which way do I go? And the Cheshire cat says, well, where do you want to go? And she says, I don't know. And he says, well, it doesn't really matter which road you take. And that's the point of the fog that Eddie talked about. Sometimes in business, you have no idea which way to go. But I'm going to challenge you to go deep and think about where you want to go, because that is what will take you there. And then you need to work out how. So, there we go. Find your why. Take a couple of minutes, well, just 1 minute, and Kwaku, you can help me with the timing here. 1 minute Talk to somebody next to you. Tell them, if you don't know them, tell them what you do. But take very little time on that, and then talk about why you do what you do. Why do you get up in the morning? What gives you that buzz? And what makes your hairs stand on end when you get something that really, really works? 1 minute, what you do, and then ask yourself why you do it.
Right, that minute starts from now. You've got 30 seconds. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey, we have one. Thank you.
I'm a lecturer, and I love my job because I like impact. And whenever I see people progress, that's my joy, not the money that I receive. I like, yeah. It's not only about how much, I mean, I'm paid well, but I love the fact that I can move somebody from 1 to 2 to teach and to impact knowledge. Yeah.
Nice.
Well, developing websites for people, I learn, 1, I improve my skills all the time because it's always a new task. 2, I really enjoy doing it. It's never stressful. I find it fun. I find it creative. I find it a way, almost as an art, a way of expressing myself. It's never stressful. Okay, well, that's a lie. It's a little bit stressful sometimes, but you know, it's something I enjoy doing, and I feel it's a stepping stone. I use it to, you know, learn new things, new ways of doing things all the time.
That's
Thank you.
I'm a student, and I do that because I want to get transformed and also impact others, not just to help myself, but also be a change agent to others. Thank you.
Nice. Are no Theory X people, we learnt. Yet why does business organize itself and have people practices, and I'm in HI, take full responsibility, that literally keep people in a box of what they do and rarely tap into the why? Because I want to impact other people, because I want to see people get from 1 to 2 to 3. Because I love it. I love being creative. I love being passionate. We heard at the back on software engineering. So we at Capital One went on this journey about, it's probably been about a 3-4 year journey. But as part of that, we created this environment where people can tap into their why. And it started at the top with our leaders. But when you do it, it is incredibly powerful in business. Rob alluded to yesterday, we have a mission which is to change banking for good. So what we do, we lend money. We're a credit card company, we lend money to people, and we need that money paid back. That's the business, that's the bottom line. But why we do it is because both our founder, our leaders, our people absolutely believe that if you have access to money, it creates real opportunity. But here's the rub, if you have access to money but you can't manage that money well, it creates real detriment across the world, in your family, in your heart. So if you tap into what banking actually does and you think about changing the world through that, using technology, information, the people you have around you, the passion, some of which you've heard in this room, then you've got something. And I'll give you 2 examples. One, recent thing we've done, which came from really passion from within, but those people using their brain, using what they're good at, analysis. So we recently have started using technology, taking our data, because we know when you need to pay us money. We've got that information. And we also can track through how you pay, whether you miss a payment, what your history is, the difficulties that you're in. And up until, you know, yesterday or midnight, as Eddie said, the rule was that you just had to manage that yourself. And if you missed a payment, we're good because we get a fee. And if you miss another payment and another payment, we're good because we get a fee and we get interest and all of that sort of stuff. You're not so good because you have a history now with the credit bureaus, which impacts your ability to get more credit, access to more money. You have increasing debt. And not only are you just paying for the thing you bought, but you're paying for the interest and the charges on top of that. So flip that paradigm and say, what can we do? Because we believe in you and we believe that we can change your life for the better through our data. So we will now send you a text, an SMS on your phone saying, hey, your payment is due. I got mine yesterday. Your payment is due in 3 days. Pay. And then some people do and some people don't. So we can then also intervene when you don't do that. Before the mark goes onto your credit file, so before you have a real impact to you, and say, pay. And the testing that we're doing that is allowing people, is showing that people are actually responding, this idea of nudging behavior. And people stay in good. They don't get into financial difficulty. They stay sustainable customers. And that kind of thing comes from our leaders and our people tapping into why they're doing what they're doing and feeling proud, and then using their brains to actually enable something that is beneficial to the customer and not beneficial to our business in the short term, but is hugely beneficial to our business in the long term. Another example, one from America actually, which I saw a couple of weeks ago. We also have a huge number of call centers, obviously, where people call in. We alluded to yesterday, it's not the best of experience sometimes when you call a business. But what they've managed to do in the States is to unleash the power of very passionate people across the US who only want to address the customer's problem. That's all they want to do. They don't particularly want to read out scripts of regulation. They don't particularly want to navigate lots of different systems, and they certainly don't want to be saying no, because what happens is the customer gets cross. And so they're facing that stress. So they've unleashed that, and they've said, we're going to develop you so that you have good principles, and then you can decide how to connect and treat that customer. And what is more, they have this surprise and delight program. So if they really make a connection, and they see a customer who is not necessarily in difficulty with their finances, but difficulty in life, because that happens, life events like death, divorce, someone that's got into trouble abroad, that happens. That's why people call us. And they can then use their discretion to spend up to about $200 solving that customer's problem, or just sending them a gift to say, hey, you know, sorry to hear about that, you know, we care. And there's just so many lovely stories that are coming out from people that are, you know, touched by someone who's gone through a particular life event, perhaps a death in the family. They've sorted out their problems with their finances, but then they've sent something to them just from them as an agent to say, you know, hey, thinking of you. And it just creates such a human side to that interaction. And those are people connecting with their why. So hold on to yours and use it. Number 2. I talked about you hit a crossroads and you don't know where to go. And that happens all the time. And there are things in business where you know what you're doing. There are things you don't know, but you know how to go find out. And that's, we heard that yesterday, that's knowledge. You go find it. You read it, you learn about it, and that's what most of us do. But with this change that's happening right now, this revolution that's happening, the fact that the rules changed at midnight, there are so many things we do not know. And what's more, we don't know that we don't know them. And I have loads of examples of that, so does Rob. And so what we've catched on at Capital One is, you know, you can step into the unknown. That is okay. But what you then have to work out is, what are the most powerful actions I can take next to take me to the next horizon? So often, you know, the mountain looks just tremendously high, but when you get to the top of it, no kidding, the perspective looks very, very different, and you can decide where to go next. So my challenge to you is, if you're faced with something that's unknown,
if you have your why, if you have your vision, if you have your direction, then think about what are the steps I could take to get me from here to there, and then look up and say, what does my perspective look like now? Really important thing in change. So what's happening with change is all of our history is telling us what we should be doing. The rules changed at midnight and we don't realize. You step into this change and you've flipped in a new reality. You need to look up, assess that reality, and think about, as I alluded to, what are the actions you need to take next? And when I talked to Niels a couple of months ago, I think it was, and you asked me that tremendous question that you asked Nana yesterday, or, thing of, I'm sorry, but you're asking the wrong question. Because I did exactly the same thing, and I said to Niels, well, in this new reality, this new world we're in, how do I help my leaders lead in this situation? And he said, well, Karen, you're asking the wrong question. And I was like, well, that's the question I always ask, so I don't understand why I'm asking the wrong question. But of course, what he was alluding to is, this is my take, it's not for me to assess how can I plan through how my leaders are going to make that change in the future. And indeed, it's not for them really to sit here and assess how am I going to make that change in the future and inspire it. Because actually, you've got to step into it, understand your environment that's around you, things have changed, and then decide what are your actions that you need to take next based on your intuition, not necessarily on the plan that you have. Number 4, to be truly, truly successful, I feel in this, you need to surround yourselves with brilliant, brilliant people. And that comes in all walks of life. If you look around this room, you are surrounded by brilliant people. And brilliant people with a different perspective. One of the reasons I'm here is not, and thank you so much to talk to you guys, but of course I'm learning, so I'm meeting huge number of people on the front row here from all walks of life in Europe, all working on really, really interesting things, and I'm learning all of the time. I'm talking to you guys are talking to me about your culture, what is important to you, and I'm learning. And the reason why that's so important is this idea of the unknown unknown. So I need to surround myself with brilliant people who can help accelerate my thinking because I no longer have all the answers, which was a hard realization for me because I was a lawyer and I know all the answers. That's what I was taught and that's what I'm good at, but apparently not. What I now need to be good at is having that humility to understand that I don't, but there is a way through. And I'd say there were 3 ways through. 1, as I said, surround yourself with insight and people. Read, seize the moment, talk, understand, listen. In your organization, bring those people in. Rob and I have both used our network to bring great thinkers into our organization to jumpstart our leaders' thinking. Because we'll sit around our top table and debate it, a little bit stare at our navels and think, we know how to run this business. But when you pull someone in from the outside world, not in banking generally, who has a completely different perspective, when it's working because you have a fear. Because you're thinking, oh, wow, I don't know the answers, and they're telling me something that is challenging my norms. That's when you're learning. So when that's happening to you, keep going, step into that fear. And the third thing you need to do, which is where, and Kwaku alluded to this yesterday, some of you guys, the students in the room, the opportunities you have right now are enormous because I am constantly looking for people like you who I need to bring into our business to transform the way we work and our thinking. Because I'm working in an environment where I've got 4 generations of employees. We've got a lot of people, the historians, as Rob called, those we have a legacy behind us, we know how it works. And I need to balance that with lots of new people coming in, new talent, who have been brought up in this highly networked, highly connected world, who are true theory why, who absolutely have respect for the business but are not constrained by authority or hierarchy, who want to lean in, who want to share their views. And that's where you guys at the back come in. So seize that moment, because we are all looking for brilliant, brilliant people to come in and challenge the way we do business. And that's our strategy at Capital One. So we will grow our people. There you go. I thought you'd like that. So number 5, enable your people. So we heard someone mention this yesterday, this idea of autonomy, mastery, and purpose. We've just taken our 200 people leaders off-site last couple of weeks and had a conference like this where we challenged them to think differently in this notion of how do I create an environment where my people act with autonomy, where they can achieve mastery. And I loved, I think it was Niels again, who said, you know, mastery is not knowledge. Mastery is experience and practice and learning, and where you can follow your purpose. Gets back to that word again, that thing you did at the start, you talked about your why. This is so hard to do because it challenges every people practice we have. And I was talking about this to some of the guys at the front last night. Once you get to a place of how do I really allow my people to act with autonomy, it's a real challenge because they've all been brought up to be dependent. In an organization, somewhere, somebody from the middle will tell me what to do, I will do it, and then it will fly back up to the middle and they'll tell me whether I got it right or wrong. That's the kind of thing we're used to. So what we're doing at Capital One, we haven't gone to the full mango yet. What we are doing is putting little mangoes into our business. So this idea that Neil said of the mango is there, it's just a little bit floppy. What we're doing is we're investing in that. And by that I mean we're standing up pods of people, people in a team, right people, all the right resources, all the right things that they need to deliver high value to the customer. And they are integrated within our hierarchy. We haven't broken the whole thing yet. But the idea is if we can make those pods work, if we can start to challenge the practices and norms that we have and create communities, then more people follow. Because it is really hard standing at the top, as Rob and I said, and just saying, hey, act with autonomy. And by the way, you people manager over there, we don't want you to do any of that anymore. You don't need to manage any tasks. Just don't do it anymore. That doesn't work because people resist that notion. So what we're trying to do is demonstrate how it can work and demonstrate a new norm. The stuff we're doing with Mastery is we want to set up this idea of communities of practice. So gone are the days where I will just set out a learning agenda for you. You will turn up to a room, do some training, get a certificate, go home. I don't want to do that anymore because it doesn't actually necessarily change anything. What I'd love to do is have people turn up, cell phone, in a community who are constantly learning, creating this learning environment. They have money and resources to be able to bring the things that they need to further their careers. So this idea of mastery and learning from each other. But a people leader doesn't need to manage their people. Otherwise, something's gone wrong because you've hired them. So if you really can't trust them to do a great job, I'd suggest you've hired the wrong person. So spend all of your time thinking about who do you want around you, and then leave them to be brilliant at what they do and create that environment. How do you do that? You do it through coaching. So those of you that are into sport will know that generally speaking, when the team is in play, when the game is on, you're not there, the coach isn't there. The coach is sitting on the bench. So if it's football, those 11 people that are running around, they have to make decisions for themselves to win the game. And what's happening there is through autonomy, mastery, and purpose, and the idea of the coach off the field, instilling, practicing, learning, questioning, challenging, allowing you to achieve your dream, then greatness comes about. And you see it in all walks of life. And that's something we're doing at Capital One too, which is how do we truly instill coaching in our leaders so that rather than tell someone what to do, they ask a question. What could you do? Why do you do what you do? What's stopping you achieving that goal? How can I help you with that? These are questions. And it's all about leaving the power with the person that needs to make the call, rather than taking that power away by telling them what to do. It's quicker to tell them what to do, but I would argue much less powerful in the long run. So we've heard a little bit about flat, you know, and I alluded to the mango. I am a big fan of totally switching the organization into this whole mango. The challenge I have is that we are a regulated bank, we're a legacy organization. As I say, I have numbers of generations in the workforce, and we have a hierarchy. Switching from hierarchy to squishy mango isn't quite working just by me telling them what to do. So what the strategy we're taking is stripping things out on very purposefully, so that we can get to a place where we're not only flat, but we have this notion of real autonomy, which is what Niels was talking about. And those of you that are in more startup situations, I would urge you not to fall into the trap of going from startup to bureaucracy back to where you want to be. Skip the bureaucracy and go to where we want to be, the mango. But those of us that are not in startup and have organizations already, and we heard about the police force, etc., then you have to think about, how am I going to powerfully take people to where I want to get to without destroying the very thing that's been created, because the thing that's been created has been successful, and you will turn people off and you'll get a huge amount of resistance, I've discovered, just by trying to go too fast. But you have to be relentless. So when is it my next powerful action? What am I going to do to further take out the layers in the organization to what we call democratize information? And we're going to hear a little bit about this too today, I think, from Bart. But this idea that information is for everyone, it's not something that should be filtered down the management chain, because if you filter it down the management chain, it's like that thing Chinese whispers, I don't know if you know that, where by the time it gets to the person it needs to get to, it sounds very, very different from the thing that the leader said in the first place. So democratize your information, give information to everybody. Visual management is a big part of that. Now this is a phrase, assume all your constraints are debatable. This is something that Rob and I latched onto actually as an inspiration from our very own CEO, Chris Newkirk. And as we've been going through this change, he got so frustrated in this idea that, you know, I can't do that because somebody called Bob 20 years ago told me that it wasn't done that way. And Bob is no longer in the organization. He's probably gone on to do either something bigger and better or something disastrous, we don't mind. But somehow Bob's legacy is still telling us that we can't do it that way. And we don't know who Bob is. So what Chris did is he said, just assume that all your constraints are debatable. And what does that do? Ask a question. Can I change this? Why do we do it this way? Who made that decision? But it doesn't make sense. Let me give you a different alternative. Let's work on that. Again, questions. Because we're surrounded all the time by our norms, and unless we challenge them, we keep doing the same thing. And if you keep doing the same thing, you get the same answer. Little bit of fun we have at Capital One. A few pictures here of our space. We are very lucky, but I'm going to tell you a bit about science behind it. So we have a great building in Nottingham. Nana has been there, spent a lot of happy times there, me and him in the cafe area at Capital One, debating various things. And on the screen are some pictures of other places within the Capital One family across the US, Canada, UK. The little drum kit there and the chap there, that isn't Rob, but that is where sometimes, I think Rob may well play his drums up in our music room. He certainly played his guitar up there. We have a huge number of people with great musical talent at Capital One, interestingly. We have a festival every year, summer festival. It's our biggest event of the year. And it's our employees that play on the stage. Rob has told me if I ever do not fund that festival, then either I'm out of a job or he is, because he's leaving. I'm not quite sure which one has got the most power yet, but we'll find out. But that's what we do. We have fun. We have so much fun in our workplace. We don't take each other too seriously. We have a lot of friendships, a lot of camaraderie, and our space is so important to that. Because if you create vibrancy, if you create areas where you can have visual management and post-its, if you create areas where you can get away from your desk, eat, play pool or ice hockey on the boards, play your drums, that's when creativity happens. I mean, ask yourself, when did you last have a great idea? Sitting at your desk between 9 and 5. Very, very rarely. You'll have done some stuff and you'll have been productive, but you won't necessarily have come up with that little seed of thing that may change the course of something. That happens by going to somewhere else, getting up from your chair, relaxing. We also have areas where people can do mindfulness, meditation, if that's your thing. We have areas where people can go to the gym, if that's your thing. We have some outdoor space where people can go and sit for a walk and things like that. You know, in the UK, that is seriously constrained, I will tell you. We don't have a ton of space, unlike in the US and here. So we create what we can to allow people to unleash their inner creativity. And then I'll leave you with this idea: you have to be resilient with change. And you know, I think for me, what this picture demonstrates, the worst thing you can do is go backwards, is my view. But also, if you forge ahead too quickly, you will lose people along the way. So sometimes you're on a precipice and you need to hold it. And you need to be true and have the courage of your convictions to say, I still know where I'm going. Through the fog, I have my most powerful actions, I like my vision, but I've just hit some roadblocks, or I've come up against some people who are reacting or resistant to what's happening. Listen to them, understand what's going on, ask them some questions, but don't lose the courage of your conviction. Because if you go back, two things happen. You fuel those that are resisting and they get more power. And you lose the people, the pioneers, that have already leapt to the other side. And they will go and find somewhere else to do their great stuff, some of which you've heard at the room, you know, creating, you know, changing the world through software. They will go and do that somewhere else. So you've lost the very people you need, and suddenly you've got more power in those that you're trying to take forward. So when you're at that precipice, hold it. Have the courage of your conviction and be resilient. So Kwaku, that's all I had for today.
Fantastic.
But I'm happy to take questions.
Let's give her a big round of applause, bigger than that, yeah? Oh, let's take a picture of me standing next to her, okay? Anyway, so we want to do some questions, but there are two things that I took away from that. I was very happy when she said about, she referred to you guys at the back there personally, saying that they are looking for young talent. Okay, that was very powerful for me, because this is one of the outcomes I was hoping from this conference. Then the other thing that she spoke about was Chinese whispers, which is all about communication. And I'm going to take the opportunity, not just now, after question and answers with Karen, to give you a little bit of a demonstration about Chinese whispers. So who's going to go first and ask Karen some questions? Let's see your hands coming up.
My name is Destiny Mevula from Blue Crest. Karen, I have a question for you. I used to hear that you are who you surround yourself with. So, you said earlier, you have to surround yourself with brilliant people who can help you accelerate your thinking. My question is, what are the characteristics that make people brilliant? I mean, no one is stupid. We are all different. And what can you really see in someone that makes that person brilliant?
That's a great question, and the reason I'm going to say, so one, passion. And that's the why, and you can talk, and I'd encourage you, if you come and talk to any of the guys at the front, I think there's something probably connects everyone here. They passionately believe in what we're trying to achieve here. You're hearing it from Quaker, Nana. So if you have that passion, I would argue there is greatness there because you believe, and you believe in something. The second thing, and this is the humility, it's about listening. But truly listening. If you are humble enough to know that you don't know everything, but that you can learn, and that you can get curious, listen and ask questions, and you combine that with your passion, then something magical, I think, would happen. And then the third one, I would just say, and we alluded to it yesterday, attitude. Call it lean in, wanting attitude, right attitude, turn up, be there, be present, have your ideas, don't crush other people's, attitude. So passion, listen, and attitude, I think, would be my three things. But I don't know if anyone else has any ideas.
My name is Adam Sananu, managing consultant, Alpha Primus. I think one of the things you can look out for is people with ideas. There's some people, you put them around a table and they're just coming up with options and issues, and they seem to, somehow they connect with the world, they've read a lot, and so they can tell you, well, somebody tried this there, I read this in an article. So look for people with ideas, because that then begins to generate more talk, more synergy, and you get results. Thank you.
Yeah. I'd add to that, and use yes, but when you're surrounded with people with ideas, you can say yes and you can build on those ideas, and it creates, something really special. If you say but, then you start to crush the very ideas that are coming around the table.
First of all, I'm glad to have you here, because for a few years I have this question in mind, and I'm glad to have you here. My question is on HR. I started my IT career for the past 3 years from Singapore. Since I came to Ghana, I saw one thing that challenged my idea. I thought in every business, if you inject IT, it's like a fertilizer. But if you're going to, let me say, Circle at Mobile, I don't know but I'm trying to point it out for people who they know. They will see it is boldly written on a building near Egypt Airline office. It was written, the future of HR is just not modern. It's just beyond software. So I want to ask you this question, why? The question you ask us first. Why do they think that the future of HR is just more than a software? Thank you, Ma.
The future of HR is more than software.
Future of HR is more than software.
Is just more than software.
It is more than software. The future of HR is definitely more than software. The future of HR is actually not HR. The future is the people in the building, is what I would say. So one of the things about HR, and I can say this because I'm not an HR professional, is HR tend to think of themselves as some kind of, sometimes some kind of police in the organization. Process, practice, this is what you have to do, rules. And also, I guess the problem, so software does come in because what software can do is it helps with communication, it helps with analytics, it helps with, how you can create something and create communication around the organization. But it still doesn't change the fundamental thing that it's at its heart, that is people. So whoever you are, whether you're in the HR function or the finance function or the technology function, one of the things that Rob is so good at is he is very good technologist. He's got some better technologists in his team, but he is a really, really, really good people leader and is present and goes out there. That's what HR is. It's about being there and being present and helping people to achieve their goals and clearing the path for them. So there may be some software that can do that, but I'm a big fan of people. I don't know if that answered your question, but you set me off.
More than $2 million. That's chicken change.
Thank you. This lady, I can't remember your name, has just proven this point, right? So you can give me $2 million and I can try and create you a workplace with some fun. Or I could give it back to you and you decide what you're going to do to create that in your environment and culture that you've got here. And the reason I say that is I look after two businesses now, one in the UK, one in Canada, taking a very deliberate strategy not to go into Canada, and arguably it's a very similar culture to ours, arguably. But the people in Canada are incredibly proud of their culture, and they hate two things. One is the fear of the Americans coming, and the second one is the fear of the British coming. So if I go in there and say, this is how I think you should create your workplace to create a great place to work, they'll do it, but it won't be as powerful. But if I can give them the money for them to realize and give them the permission granted, go do it. Whatever it is that is in your way of creating that, what can you do from your vantage point to change and create the environment you want? That's what, that's human nature. And you have this thing where you think you need to contribute to show, that you know something. And that's a dangerous thing, but you have to learn that for yourself. The most powerful thing you can do is, really lean in, listen, surround yourself with those people, ask a question, and then when you just give your view. And if your view happens to be, not quite right or whatever, that's okay, because you're learning all the time. And then from that, you will become brilliant. I would also say, the second thing to you is we carry around with ourselves such limiting beliefs. This is a coaching term. They come from our childhood, from our experiences, from our culture, from the access that we've had to various things. Those things are here all the time. And there's something you said there that just reminded me of that, which is, why would you think you wouldn't have a contribution? Because of course you do. So believe in yourself and be there, and the contribution will come. Don't ever think you don't have a contribution. You do.
Absolutely fantastic.
I was from Ghana Police Service. If you are in an institution whereby you have the ideas, then you give the ideas to the people that has to implement, and they fail to implement, and you keep on giving the ideas to them. What are you to do? Are you to, by 2 or 3 times, you have to stop, or you should continue on giving the advice to them?
Two things for that, I think. One, power or leadership within that institution. The worst thing you can do in terms of idea creation is not what we call close the loop. And this is really hard. So we've tried to encourage people to give ideas all the time. And one of my biggest learnings is, if you can't go back and say, thank you, we are doing this about that, or thank you, what a great idea, let's build on it, or thank you, we can't do that right now, then that starts to slow the flow of idea rate. So if you're in that position and you want to create this environment where ideas thrive, then you have to close the loop. You have to acknowledge. There's a couple of tools that I've seen around the Capital One where people say, you said we're doing, or we're listening, this is what's happening. And so you keep that going. The second thing that I love around this, and again we debate this idea of ideas, is not so much that you give the idea to someone, but you have the opportunity to act on those ideas. So there's something I'm trying to do within my own team right now. And a lot of this comes, if you know about Google and this idea of 20% time, you have time in your working week just to create. And that's where Gmail came from and all of this. The thing I'm trying to do in my team, if it's helpful, is actually just have, again, a visual board like you do in Kanban, in Scrum. And on there, someone can say, a post-it of, I want to work on X policy. Could be, family-friendly policies or paternity policies, because that's changing in the UK and in terms of the balance between father and mother and family-friendly working. And someone said to me the other day, I don't have the opportunity to do that because I'm reacting to what's coming. So I'm trying to create a place where they can put their ideas up, and then they can take them, work them, and move them to done. But the customer is just me. So they're not doing it for a boss or for someone else that may crush that. It's just something that they can do. They can self-organize, get the people around them they need to do it for me, move it to done. And I haven't done that yet, so I don't know how successful it's going to be, but that was the idea. So rather than you give me your idea and I work out whether I can do that for you, I give you the space to work on your idea and you find someone or a group of people to bring it to life. I think that's the future. That's better.
Well, listen, let's give a big round of applause to Karen.